An epic win for Queensland on Wednesday night in Perth, and that means we're heading to a decider. Very pleased that Billy's going to give us all of the insights from that match. Billy, it was a big week. You made some big calls. No Daly Cherry Evans. There was a lot of chat too whether you'd start with that side as well. I know some experts in the game were very strong and said Queensland can't win with that starting 13, but you pulled it off. It was an epic match holding off that comeback from New South Wales. A roller coaster of emotions, no doubt, throughout those 80 minutes. What were the overwhelming emotions at the end? Relief, pride, probably bit of both.
Bit of everything, and not the first time Queensland's been in that situation. So, look, it wasn't the cleanest game because of the conditions. It was very slippery over there in Perth. It was a cold night and wet night, and I think there was something like 27 errors throughout the whole game, and Queensland made the majority of them. So it just felt like every time that we got some ascendancy and got on top that we just gave the ball away and give that pressure back to the opposition. So look, there's a fair bit to work on, but all in all, I thought there was a fair bit of heart and character with the performance, especially that dying stages and defending our try line. 48 played the balls inside our 20 we had to defend, as opposed to 27 for the opposition. That took a fair bit of heart and want, and pretty proud of the lads.
I think there was an obvious change of tactics with the New South Wales team. In the first set of 6, Jerome Luai, left footer, he had the first kicked it out on the full. Never really seen Nathan kick all night. Then everyone sort of spoke about he had the guard on his right thigh and ended up working out that he had a groin injury, missed the last day's training, all that sort of stuff. And I think where New South Wales affected a bit at times, just that familiarity of, Stephen Crichton chasing those kicks, doing that job so well, and, they sort of tended to kick a lot more down the other side. So I think that change in tactic affected their rhythm. But, at the end of the day, it was a great finish. Queensland, they defended their line to win the game, which is, as a player and a coach, there's no better way to win a game than defending for the last couple of minutes. But I think it was a real spectacle. It wasn't the greatest quality of game, but I think every single person in the stadium, the light show, the guts they showed, there was a lot of great contact. I think it was pretty sort of, it wasn't dirty or anything like that. It was just everyone there, down from the sideline, had a great night, I've got to say. It was an awesome way to display our game into a place we're going to take a team soon. So, congratulations to all involved. I'm sure from the coaches and that, they sort of look at it different to everyone else, but it was thoroughly entertaining.
What about Game 3? Have you got your head around Game 3 yet?
There's a process involved in that, Joey. Obviously looking at the game and working out what we did well, trying to replicate that first. That's the hardest thing. Like, everyone sort of goes to improvement mode, and that's important, but you got to work out what you did well and acknowledge that that's not just going to happen again. So, there's a bit to get through this week, and then obviously next weekend's games, and work out what Queensland's best team looks like, and then we go from there.
A lot's been made of the flurry of referee decisions early, the penalties. What were you thinking when that was going on?
Well, we found ourselves in that situation in Game 1. That was one area that we really need to address going into Game 2 camp, was the penalties that we gave away, the ill discipline. So, I felt that we handled that better than we did in Game 1, and that's a huge part of the game.
What about Munster? You touched on him just before, the 16th captain of Queensland. Joey said in the lead-up it was a masterstroke, and, we'd see him go to just another level, a man-of-the-match performance. And I don't think anyone really was surprised that we saw that from Cameron Munster, but can you give us a bit more of an insight into how he was during the week and just how inspirational he is for the rest of that group?
Yeah, look, there's a number of great leaders within the footy team. I think there's a handful of club captains, and Cameron Munster's actually not a club captain, so I just thought it was his time. He's a real leader in this footy team anyway. He was the first day, he wore that number 6 jersey, and I was actually a player alongside him that day, and he was the best player on the field. And the best leaders perform in their positions, and that's what he does best. Like I said, he's got some great help in and around him, but I don't think anyone was surprised of the performance.
Did you change anything when you saw Jerome Luai? do the first kick. Did you talk to your chasers or any messages out to Kalon about where they think he has to adjust his positioning?
Yeah, no, not really. It doesn't change who kicks the ball. Your positioning doesn't change. It's not like you're guessing the game. So you've got a structure and a template that you work off, and then everyone works within that system. So whoever kicks the ball, it's nearly irrelevant.
How are you feeling? Is starting to eat away at the lead? Your team making errors. I think Latrell had that nice strip. The coach, there was a penalty.
Amiso dropped that ball.
Amiso dropped the ball. What's going on in your head?
Yeah, the second half was worse than the first half, but it was still happening in the first half. And like I said, it was really tough conditions to hold the football. Any decent contact was dislodging the ball. We had a couple of these 7 tackle sets. The first set of the game, we took the pressure off the New South Wales team and put it on ourselves by just not executing some plays. So, these are the areas that we can really improve on. But at the same time, we want to keep that good stuff that we did have in the game. But yeah, towards the back 15 minutes of the game, it just felt like every time that we did something right, we undid it by giving away an error or a penalty or something like that.
They kept going to your right, and they come up. Brian scored 3 tries. Were you ever thinking of changing personnel or anything going on that side?
No, not on the run. Like I said, we'll have a look at some of our defence on our try line, pick the good stuff out, make sure we highlight the good stuff, and then identify where we can get better in some of those tries as well.
What about the pressure, mate? The external pressure on yourself. You had a lot of pressure when you were playing. Can you compare that pressure as a coach?
It's more isolating when you're a coach. When you're a player, you've got 16 sort of teammates there. When you're a coach, it seems like you're isolated a lot more. But look, I'm good. I'm good. It is what it is. I think there's some unnecessary sort of attention that comes with it. But at the end of the day, I'm there for the right reasons. I'm there to try and help this.